Did you know that Zenless has a total of 11 stunners, and out of these 11 stunners, 4 are fire stunners? I mean, technically we can't ignore Ju Fufu. She's definitely not a stunner and not worth your pulse. Unlike Norma, who's actually a really good stunner that also deals some decent damage, and, most importantly, she's also extremely fun to play. Is she stronger than Dialing? Definitely not. But while doing my test and recording using Pyrois, I had a lot of fun trying to optimize the rotation and not waste resources. But this doesn't mean that Norma is a complicated character. In fact, she is extremely easy to play, but the depth and optimization potential are there, and this is something that I really enjoy. Anyway, name's Muzzy, and welcome to my Norma guide. Let's begin by talking about Norma's kit, so you can understand exactly where her utility, daze, and damage comes from. Norma is essentially an off-field and burst stunner, but there is no reason to keep her on the field, as her turrets can consistently inflict daze on enemies, and Norma always generates resource passively. Most of her kit is centered around her turrets that remains on the field after using her EX special, attacking enemies every few seconds. When spending energy to activate her EX special, the turrets will be summoned and launch different attacks at enemies depending on their state. If the enemy is not stunned, the turrets will fire armor-piercing warheads. These have a higher daze multiplier and help you stun the enemy quickly. If the enemy is already stunned, then the turrets will fire high explosive warheads, which deal more damage but less daze. You don't need to pick anything here, so essentially, this is an adaptive EX special that adjusts itself to the situation you're in. Using the EX special also generates 16 points of her resource and puts Norma in the Enna barrage state for 32 seconds. This is really important as the turret only remains on the field while Norma is in this state. This also enables her additional ability that we will talk about later. You can hold down the EX special attack button to consume up to 40 extra energy, generating additional resources, damage, and daze against the enemy. Now, you might be thinking about this resource that I mentioned a couple of times already. Preheated Chamber is Norma's resource that can be consumed to upgrade one quick assist to a chain attack. While Norma still has her hat, you can hold basic to trigger hat trick, throwing her hat away and triggering a quick assist for the previous unit. If Norma has 80% or more preheated chamber, this quick assist will be upgraded to a chain attack. This is a very nice damage boost, not only because of chain attack damage, but also for the extra decibels they generate for the entire team. Norma always drops her hat when she leaves the field if her preheated chamber is not full. The hat will accumulate preheated chamber points while it's on the field. The hat always rushes towards Norma if she's on the field, and you have enough points to trigger a chain attack. But if you don't, you need to hold basic so it rushes towards Norma. A small issue with this move is that you don't have invulnerability frames when using it. So depending on the fight, you can end up getting hit and not triggering the quick assist. Oh, there is one last thing to keep in mind regarding her turrets. Stunning an enemy or using Norma's upgraded quick assist automatically triggers an EX special that will fire missiles at the enemy, following the exact same rules as her EX special. If the enemy is stunned, the turrets fire higher damage missiles, if not higher daze missiles. This is very good for effects that trigger when using EX specials, as it means Norma can keep good uptime on them. And before talking about her core skill and additional ability, I need to mention her ultimate skill. It has a massive damage multiplier, massive daze multiplier, and most importantly, it also generates 30 preheated chamber points. This is the last source of preheated chamber in her kit, so to sum it up, you generate preheated chamber passively, by spending energy with her EX special, and by using her ultimate. The rest of the kit is more of the same, so we don't need to explain or focus too much on it. Norma's core skill is the reason why all this damage in her kit matters a lot. She gets increased crit damage and daze just by stacking up to 100% crit rate. We're talking about 85% crit damage and 40% days. So getting this 100% crit rate is going to be the most important thing for your days and damage as well. She also gets increased attack based on her sheer force, which allows her to be using rupture teams and still deal some damage to enemies, despite not being a rupture agent. The additional ability requires an attack or rupture unit or another agent from the same faction, which for now means Velina. It adds up to 30% stun multiplier to enemies, 2 seconds of increased stun duration, and additional damage for the entire team while Enna Barrage is active. Norma also gets up to 870 attack while Enna Barrage is active, which further helps her deal more damage with her skills, and benefits a lot from all the crit rate she's going to stack. While mostly an off-field and burst stunner, Norma can make your rotations and gameplay very active, as the extra chain attacks means more ultimates and, depending on the unit that you're playing, also more resources for you. Pyrois, for example, gets a lot of extra decibels by using chain attacks. Starlight Billy generates resources that can be consumed for an enhanced basic attack, so it's very hard to give you a single optimized rotation for Norma. Most of the time, the gameplay is extremely simple. You just use her chain attack whenever it is available, use your EX special and ultimate once you have enough energy, and keep repeating the same thing. Unless you're trying to maximize the damage, days, and everything, you don't really need to think too much. But if you want to, here are some general tips that can help you optimize your rotation. Avoid wasting preheated chamber points. Even if the enemy is not stunned, you can trigger the upgraded chain attack for extra days, as it will upgrade turrets for 8 seconds. The ultimate deals good damage, but also good days. It also has a long animation, so unless you know what you're doing, most of the time you're getting better value from using it outside of the stun and leaving the stun window for your DPS agent. Speaking of her ultimate, don't forget it also generates a lot of preheated chamber points, so there's no reason to use it if you already have enough points for an upgraded quick assist. But also, don't spend your upgraded quick assist if doing so means you're wasting resources on your DPS. Take Starlight Billy for example. While the chain deals good damage, using it when you are at maximum decibels or determination points means you're wasting a lot of extra damage. So as you can see, it can get a bit complicated to optimize depending on the unit, but this doesn't mean Norma is hard to play at all. The core gameplay loop is very simple and anyone can make use of it, which makes Norma enjoyable for everyone. Now that you understand how Norma works, it's time to explain her build and best options for you. When it comes to disc sets, 4-piece King of the Summit will be the best option. As someone who plays around EX Special and is most commonly paired with Rupture or Attack agents, this disc set provides the best damage increase to Norma herself and anyone paired with her. It requires a stacking crit rate, which is something you are already looking to do with Norma, so the requirements are easy to meet. For the 2-piece set, assuming you are struggling to hit 100% crit rate, Woodpecker Electro will be the best option. It gives good days and damage potential for Norma. If you're already at 100% crit rate without Woodpecker Electro, then Moonlight Lullaby is my personal recommendation and can give you 1 extra EX special in an entire Deadly Assault fight. Shockstar Disco is also a valid option since it increases the days from Norma even further, but unless this is giving you another stun window on Deadly Assault, you are not getting any value from it. Now about disc stats, you're looking for crit rate, damage, and energy regeneration. For disc 4, you're looking for crit rate because Norma really wants to hit 100% crit rate to maximize her core skill. For slot 5, attack is not as valuable here because Norma already gets a lot of flat attack from her additional ability and team supports, which lowers the value of attack percentage rolls. Slot 6 can be impact, but since Norma's resource generation is directly tied to her EX special, more energy means more EX specials, which means more chain attacks and damage as well. And for substats, your priority is crit rate all the way until you hit 100%. After this, Crit damage is by far the best upgrade to Norma's damage, followed by attack percentage, flat penetration, and lastly, flat attack. For weapons, we might have another non-Gongia situation here. Norma's signature is insanely good as it provides crit rate, impact, energy regeneration, and allows her damage to ignore the enemy fire resistance. If the user also deals fire damage with an EX special, it also increases the damage of the entire team by up to 25% at phase 1. The energy regeneration is not actually that huge, and using something like Steam Oven gives you higher energy regeneration. The biggest impact here is the fire resistance ignore and crit rate that allows Norma to do a lot. You can see in the following table that other options can provide similar daze potential, but the damage drop is really massive, no matter the option you decided to go for. And while you're probably thinking, but she's a stunner, so her damage contribution doesn't really matter, Norma can deal around 15% of your team damage depending on the fight rotation and how well built your Norma is. For my Starlight Billy run, that I will include at the end of the video, Norma did a total of 17% of the team damage, and that is both Norma and Starlight Billy with a 32 substat build. For context, here's the same table again, but comparing the team damage instead of Norma's personal damage. By no means do you need her signature W engine, as you can achieve the same amount of chain attacks and stuns using other options, and that's where a huge portion of her value comes from. But if you also want the best damage for your Norma, then her signature is completely unmatched. Now, after a long talk about weapons, let's talk about her Mindscapes, and before you ask, I recommend getting the signature W engine before any of the Mindscapes. Mindscape 1 is very generic and on par with other support Mindscapes. It is very funny that this one reduces the enemy resistance instead of ignoring it, and this means that anomaly damage will also benefit from this Mindscape, unlike generic ignore resistance effects. Mindscape 2 adds more damage for your stun windows and more EX specials for Norma. This adds more damage to your DPS, and depending on the unit, the damage increase could be even higher than what you're seeing right here, as it could be one extra ultimate or enhanced basic attacks through the fight. The value can also go even higher depending on the team and enemy that you're fighting. In these calculations, I am using Sunna, which also adds a stun damage multiplier, but removing Sunna for someone else definitely makes this Mindscape more valuable. Mindscape 3 and 5 are surprisingly good for Norma, as she gets value from both the daze and damage increase from skill levels. But that's all there is to them. Mindscape 4 adds more decibel generation to both Norma and the unit benefiting from her quick assist. The value of this Mindscape can be hard to measure, as the increased decibels could mean another ultimate through the fight, assuming you're not wasting decibels anywhere. So keep this in mind, as I decided to not include one extra ultimate on the calculation. Finally, Mindscape 6 adds a lot of extra damage to Norma, and also a bit of daze. The damage only triggers once per stun, so it's likely that you won't notice that much unless you're getting a lot of stuns through the fight. And if you're wondering about teams, Norma is actually very flexible and any unit can benefit from her. But since her additional ability only works with attack, rupture, or faction agents, it is much better to focus on the first two, as Norma is definitely not a good unit to pair with Velena. Your team should be an attack or rupture agent, Norma, and a support unit that can provide team-wide attack or sheer force. Pyrois is one of the units that heavily benefits from Norma in the team, as extra chain attacks means a lot of extra decibels for Pyrois. Dialing technically is still better here, but Norma is very competitive and I personally enjoy the gameplay much more when using Norma instead of dialing. Also, there are many other teams that benefit from dialing much more. Starlight Billy, or Silly for short, also really likes Norma in the team. The extra chain attack not only means damage and decibels for the ultimate, it also means more determination for more enhanced basic attacks. Since Norma also converts sheer force to attack, this means she's still dealing good damage even in rupture teams. Of course, these are not the only two units to pair with Norma. Other units follow the exact same reasoning as Pyrois or Celia, such as Lucia or Evelyn. They benefit a lot from extra chains. Eve and Bunway, for example, are usually going against fire-weak enemies, which increases the days and damage from Norma as well. Overall, Norma is just very flexible with good days and damage numbers that make her much better than a certain cat. I mean, tiger, but without raising the ceiling even further than what Dialing did. If you own Dialing, she's still going to be the ceiling for most teams, as ultimates still deal more damage than chains. But there is only one Dialing in the game, and the fact Norma managed to be competitive with Dialing is a good thing. In the end, you could say that it's all about personal preference. Dialing is definitely stronger, and I won't deny that. But I find Norma gameplay much better than Dialing. That's everything about Norma, and if you have any questions, feel free to drop them in the comments down below. You can also join my Discord server and send your questions over there. I'll leave you with a Pyrois and Celia run, so you can watch Norma in action a bit. These runs are not perfect, and I'm sure there is room for improvement. But they definitely showcase how Norma feels in these fights. Thank you so much for watching this video, have a beautiful day, and I'll see you next time.